Good afternoon, everybody. Very warm welcome to you all. It is a warm day here in Durban. Hope that wherever you are, you guys are doing good. Yeah, just seeing everybody coming in. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Sanel. Welcome to you guys. Welcome back to the guys that have been here before. Hello, Bongani. Hello, Ari, Patrick, Chanel and Zandile, Desiree, and Galaxy A51, I imagine. It's not a real name. Hello, Nonthanta. Hello, Chanel. Good morning and welcome. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. This is the next workshop in our employability series, where we are discussing a whole range of skills, soft skills and 21st century skills and life skills, and just types of tools that one can use in their lives to really be able to maximize our well-being, our success. So welcome to everybody. I see everyone pouring in. It looks like we've got good attendance today. We're going to kick off in just a couple of minutes. I will try and manage to keep an eye on the chat as we go. So just keep an eye on that. If there are any questions as we're going through, there will also be time for Q&A at the end as per usual. I will have time for that. So if you have any questions, feel free to make a note of them, and we'll chat about them towards the end. I'm going to try to make some time at the end of this webinar to get into your guys' comments and questions. But again, feel free to chip in as we go through. I'm going to try to keep it as interactive as possible. Okay, so just by way of introduction, I recognize a lot of the names already. So welcome back to all of you guys who are returning. And for those of you who are attending the first of these webinars, very warm welcome to you guys. My name is James James Sturdee. I'm a registered psychological counsellor, health profession counsel. I am part of the Region Business School Counselling Services. I also am in private practice in Durban. Okay, it looks like we have some good numbers here, so let's get it started. Hi everyone. Sorry I can't say hello to all of you name by name. It's just as I see more and more people coming in, I'm getting a bit left behind, but I'm seeing your messages and a very warm welcome. I don't think we're having a problem with the sound, Butamelo. I think that might be an issue your side. I guess the problem is not again saying that. Hopefully you'll be able to figure that out. Good, let's get started. How is everyone today? Did you answer that question in your head? Did you gloss it over? Did you even pay any attention? Normally we don't. And that's really what we're going to be speaking about today in many ways. How often do we just respond with, yeah, fine, thank you, and you, or good, yeah, not too bad, no complaints, very meaningless responses, right? Take a moment right now to actually ask yourself that question. How are you? How are you doing? How are you actually doing? Check in with yourself. You might notice already there's something going on differently just in your psychological experience from just glossing over what is a question. Probably hear these 10 times, maybe depending on where you are and what you do, maybe you hear it 100 times. How are you? We just tend to kind of gloss it over. We don't really ask ourselves, how we really are. And we definitely don't answer most of the time, honestly, about how we really are. And I don't think we're even expected to. I don't think people often are even looking for the real answer to how we are. But it is possible to stop and ask ourselves, how are we? How are we doing? What's going on in our lives? What are we experiencing? What are we noticing in ourselves? And that right there is the process of being mindful. And that is what we're going to speak about today. So the way that this webinar is going to work is slightly different from some of the other ones that we have done over the course of the year, in that it's going to be a little bit more interactive. By interactive, I don't necessarily mean you guys are going to be speaking, but I'm hoping you're going to be very involved in the exercises that we do. There are going to be 3 guided mindfulness exercises that I'm going to take you through as we go through this. So we're going to speak just a little bit about the what, the how, the whys, what is mindfulness, a bit of the theory there. Not spending too much time on that, but just to give you some idea of what it is that we're actually speaking about with mindfulness. But more of the focus of this webinar is going to be on these interactive, practical exercises. So I really hope that you guys will be able to divert your full attention to that, because the more you can just be present with this, the more you can benefit from it, I believe. Okay. So yeah, mindfulness, I gave you a little bit of an idea there, just in terms of what it is, what it looks like. Essentially what we're talking about is, it has its origins in Eastern philosophical, meditative, contemplative practices such as Buddhism. Buddhists were very much into mindfulness meditations. And it comes from the Buddhist practice of sati, which is part of the road to enlightenment. It's a big part of Buddhist practice, for those of you who have any exposure to that. What has happened, though, in the last 20 years, maybe last 15 years, is that it's been rarely incorporated into Western psychological clinical practice, because there's been so much application of it that has been really helpful for people in terms of how to just deal with your own psychological experience, how to deal with stress, how to deal with challenges. People have found that it's been so helpful, this practice of mindfulness, that Western psychology has really co-opted it. And there's a huge amount of research now that goes back 15, 20 years, probably early 2000s actually, that really point to the effectiveness of mindfulness practices in our lives. So what it means is to be fully present. What does this really mean, though? I think you hear this all the time. I want to be more present. It's important to be present. Just be present. But what does it really mean? How do we actually do it? You can think about our time states, temporal states, past, present, future. Temporal categories is just a way of saying these three categories that we have states. So there's everything that happened before this moment. There's this actual moment right now that we're all occupying. And as you see, it's just this constant experience of moment after moment, right? Time, it's just we're constantly just navigating through these temporal places. And then future is what is happening. The future is what's happening in 5 seconds, but of course what might be happening in a month or 5 years, 20 years. So often our attention is focused on the past. What happened yesterday? What am I really embarrassed about? What did I do that I just can't seem to get over? What did someone else do to me that I'm still angry about? What is it that's making me sad that happened a year ago? So often our attention is there, or it's on the future. So I'm so worried about this test that I have coming up this week, or I'm so concerned about the health of my dog. I'm worried about what's going to happen in the future. And our attention, our consciousness is all focused on that. These are normal psychological states. So there's nothing wrong with them. Too much preoccupation with the past can lead to things like depression and unhappiness. It can rob us of certain experiences. Too much preoccupation with the future can lead to things like anxiety. But for the most part, they're normal psychological experiences, and we've evolved to not be very good at being present in this moment. We have evolved because there are survival benefits of being able to remember what happened to us and remember the bad things that happened to us, because then we can try to avoid them in the future, right? And we think about the future a lot because that's a way of protecting ourselves, making sure that we're not surprised or caught out or in danger or threat. So these are very normal, healthy psychological practices. There's nothing necessarily wrong with them. But what we have found is that there's a significant link with the capacity to be present, which is to direct our attention right here, right in this moment. What's happening right now in me? What's happening right now in my current experience? How do I just stop for a moment thinking about the bill that's due at midnight tonight, because it's my stock orders are coming off in the next 12 hours. How do I stop thinking about that? How do I stop thinking about the horrible conversation I had with my girlfriend yesterday? How do I just focus my attention to right now? And that's what we're going to practice a little bit today. So it's the practice of purposefully directing our attention to the present moment. And the second part of this is as important, that we do it without evaluation and we do it without judgment, but just acceptance. So often with every type of perspective that we can have towards ourselves or to others, we're always labeling a judgment on. So this is good, or that's a good way of thinking, or that's a bad way of thinking, or I shouldn't be thinking that, or it's really scary that I'm having these thoughts, or this feels like that and that's not a good thing. So we're constantly layering this judgment. Being mindful is just about saying, let me be curious about my sensations right now, what it means to be me, what it means to exist and occupy this current moment. What do my feelings actually feel like? How can I be curious about it? What are my thoughts like? What is this process of actually thinking like? This environment around me, what is it like to observe it through my senses? And without any of the judgment that comes from it. Just accept it in a non-judgmental way. So that's the basic template of mindfulness. And there's as always a huge amount we can say about these things. But the point of this webinar, as I mentioned, is not necessarily about just giving you a theory, but hopefully exposing you to some of the more practical uses of it, and you can pick this up and go into it for something. Okay, so we're going to first start mindfulness exercise that focuses on breathing. So I'm going to take you through it. I'm not going to spend too long with the first two because as I said, there's a third one as well as there's three in total, and I want to be able to give that one the time that it deserves because it kind of encompasses the different aspects of mindfulness as we see as we will get to. So yeah, I understand often with these webinars, it's very easy multitasking. We all do that. You know, you're either on your phone or you're busy writing an essay or you're making lunch or you're eating lunch. That's okay. That's the benefit of this. It would be harder to do if we were all in the auditorium together. So that's fine. However, in this current situation, this current example, I would encourage you guys to put down whatever you have in front of you. Try to focus your attention on this. It should take about 5 minutes. Try to focus your attention on this and see where it takes you. And be interested to get more comments. Okay, so take a moment and find a comfortable position. You don't need to be in any particular posture. You can be standing, be sitting, maybe lying down. Just make sure that you're not going to fall asleep. So the most important thing is that you feel relaxed, but also alert. Make sure that you have some openness in front of your body. You might want to roll your shoulders up, back. If you're lying down, maybe just allow your shoulders to relax to the floor. You do want to have some uprightness, some length in your spine, without being too rigid, too stiff. And you want to invite a softness into your face, into your jaw, your shoulders, your belly. This is a balanced posture. This accompanies both being relaxed, but also being alert. Both being soft, but also being open. And this is the beginning of embodied awareness. Take a moment now, just notice how your body is feeling in this moment. You don't need to change anything about your mind, about your thoughts, your heart, your emotions, your body. You don't have to change any of this. You don't have to change any of the sensations. Just simply allow what's happening to be in your awareness. How does your body feel right now? Feel what's going on physically. Feel what's going on mentally. What sensations are you experiencing? Where do you feel maybe tightness or tension in your body? And where do you feel ease or relaxation? Just notice what is here. And as you continue to settle into this embodied awareness, you can close your eyes if you'd like, or you can keep them open, but just continue to rest your awareness on your body. Just notice what's present and allow what's happening. Maybe you'll feel some thoughts or some feelings coming up. Just let everything be here. Now, I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, you can even make a sighing sound as you let out that breath. Release any tension in your body. Breathe in and breathe out. Do this a few times on your own, and as you breathe in, open the front of your body. As you breathe out, just feel that softening, that relaxing. Allow your body to come into its natural rhythm. Just take a moment in silence and notice your bodily sensations. You don't have to think about your body, but just really feel the sensations. Now see if you can feel the contact of what's supporting your body right now. It might be a chair or a cushion, if it's a bed, floor beneath you, if it's the ground. Just really sense your feet or your seat and allow yourself to feel grounded. Continue to sense the connection with what's underneath you. Bring awareness to the pressure, the weight of your body. And ask yourself, what is that sensation like? Even now, thoughts or feelings, concerns, they might be coming up. This isn't a problem, this is normal. Your mind will think about the past or the future, or make comments on the present. That's what it does. But your body's always in the present moment. And if it's thinking that's happening, just allow your awareness to rest back to an awareness of your body. Now bring your awareness to your breath again as it flows in and out. You might want to take one or two deep breaths in through the nose, out again through your nose. Allow this to connect you to the process that's always happening, even if we're not paying attention. You might notice your belly rising and falling as you breathe in and out. And if you're having any trouble connecting to the sensation, you can place one hand or both hands to your belly button. Feel your belly rising on the inhale and falling on the exhale. If you're finding your breath hard for you to follow, just rest your awareness of your body's contact, what's underneath you, or any other part of your body that brings you in, a sense of ease, of connection. Now, if you're staying with your breath, continue to notice the inhale and the exhale. Embodied awareness is a way for us to take with our experience, stay with our experience by using our body, our breath, our sensory experience as a way to connect with the present moment. Not by pushing away thoughts, feelings, but rather just allowing the body to be grounded for our awareness. Take a moment now in silence to rest in your embodied awareness. As we end this meditation right now, just take a moment to express gratitude towards yourself for taking the time to cultivate this practice. Any moment you can reconnect like this to your body, your breath, groundedness, feel it as a way of creating spaciousness, ease, and rootedness. Your eyes were closed, you can open them now. You can start coming back and paying attention again. Okay, so that was an embodied awareness mindfulness exercise, and that was focused on just through your breathing and just through feeling grounded to check in with the present moment by using your body as the compass there, as the guide. Okay, so there seems like there might have been some network problems to do that. So one or two people, I hope the rest of you are able to get that. Okay, I hope that it all came through. It seems like comments coming through is relaxing. That's good. And how did you guys how did you guys feel the experience of just being present, being mindful? What is that like for you? Devin says serene. That's great. Relaxed and calming. Okay, fantastic. And so these are exercises and practices that of course you can practice and you can get better at. There's so many really good apps out there. There's so many good guided meditations on YouTube as well, channels that will take you through this type of thing from kind of beginner to expert. And they are practices that you can draw on in your own way as you navigate life and as you navigate stress as well. And there's a reason for that. I'm glad to see that you guys are feeling refreshed and at ease. So why do we practice mindfulness? Apart from the fact that it does bring some relaxation benefits to you guys. We are going to have a relaxation webinar next month, actually, which just focuses on relaxation itself, which is slightly different from mindfulness, but as you guys are noting, there's a significant overlap. So why do we practice mindfulness? Well, essentially, it's a very powerful tool for regulating our feelings. So we've spoken about emotional regulation in the webinars. The emotional intelligence webinar, I know we spent some time on that. Emotional regulation is about having a way of dealing with our feelings that is really healthy and helpful, as opposed to either just feeling too much and over-identifying and feeling just things like self-pity and feeling overwhelmed, and feeling our feelings in a really overwhelming way. The other side of that is just denying our feelings and suppressing them and trying to avoid the things that are uncomfortable, such as anger and pain and sadness. Healthy emotional regulation allows us to be present with our feelings. And you can see there why mindfulness is such a helpful tool there, because it allows us to just direct our attention towards our feelings without being completely swept along by them and with them. It's like stepping outside of a raging river and still observing it, but not being swept along with it. And sometimes the sense of feeling that we have is our emotions, river we get. Yeah. Right. So we're going to speak a bit about emotions final as we do here as well. You think about our suffering and the things that cause us pain. So much of this is just a product of our thought. So what does that mean? It means the things that we are thinking are actually the things that most of the time are causing us to feel pain, or to feel worry, or to feel anxiety, or to preoccupy or find ourselves preoccupied over something. The thoughts that we have around something, the narrative that we're creating, the story we're telling ourselves about a situation, is often where our suffering is coming from. And we don't have a lot of control over those thoughts. That's one of the basic facts of human psychology. Is it's very hard not to tell ourselves to think a certain thing. If I tell you, I want you to do anything but think about a pink elephant, probably the first thing you're going to see is a pink elephant. The more energy you put into not thinking about this pink elephant, the more you're actually going to see it. So that example, trivial as it is, gives you a little bit of a sense of how we often find ourselves in this conflict with our thoughts. We're telling ourselves, don't think this, think something else. Don't be focused on this. But what we're actually doing through that is we're just creating more tension there. And you can see that's the judgmental level that comes in it, right? And that's why mindfulness is about acceptance and non-judgment, just being able to understand our thoughts without judging them. Okay. It's a powerful stress management tool as well. As we spoke about in the mindset webinar, we can change our mindset towards the way we think about stress, and mindfulness is an aspect of that. So just to be able to be present with our stress and understand that it's there for good reasons and not allow ourselves to be completely overwhelmed by it necessarily. So it's very helpful as the way of managing stress in our lives. It's also very good at dealing with things like pain, chronic pain. So it's helpful with emotional pain, but also with chronic pain. The ability to just be present, and you can do this in kind of trivial ways, but these are practices you can strengthen muscles that you can develop if you were, metaphorical muscles. So you can think about a mosquito, for example. When a mosquito is annoying you, think about how much of that annoyance is coming from not the fact that the mosquito is actually stinging you or biting you or whatever it is that mosquitoes actually do with you. It's more about the story we're telling ourselves about the mosquito. Oh no, the sound in my ear, it's so annoying. I hate mosquitoes. They keep me awake. I might be so itchy. The mosquito's about to bite me. These are our thoughts that are out of control, causing us to feel a certain way. You can lean into the experience of being bitten by a mosquito, as strange as that sound. You can just say, well, what is this like right now? Hear it. Where is it? What does it feel like to be able to use my senses to identify where this thing is in space? That's a really interesting experience. And then when it bites me, what does that actually feel like? Number one, probably not going to die. I'm assuming you're in, where I am in Durban or Joburg or Cape Town, where we're not in high malaria areas. Obviously, if you're more up country on the low fault, then this might not be the best example. But most places, mosquito bites you, you're not going to die, and you can then just say, well, what does that feel like? Oh, there's a sharp sting right now that I can feel that it bits me, and then it will stop. And that is a very different psychological positioning towards the fretfulness and the anxiety we can have about it. And you can practice that in pain generally. So yeah, that's just something to kind of think about the way that we approach pain that's a very kind of low-key way, but it can apply to more significant types of chronic pain. And of course, anxiety and depression, these things are all linked to our ability to regulate our emotions, thoughts and feelings that we have that cause us all sorts of unhappiness, make us feel stuck or make us feel like out of control of our lives. Mindfulness is a way of repositioning ourselves towards a lot of those dynamics that are causing us. So if there's something that interests you and you think that it's relevant, you're welcome to counseling services, email that, or counseling region at today, just to connect these are things we can chat about in individual one-on-one spaces as well. Okay, so I'm going to take you through, the last one, improves relationship, of course. And the reason for this is if we're less judgmental of ourselves and if we're a bit more at peace with our own internal experience, we're much more likely to be less judgmental of others. We're much more likely to be at peace with that. We're not going to have unrealistic expectations of people all the time. This is one of the things that causes us a lot of unhappiness in our relationship as well. So being able to change our relationship with our own psychological experience fundamentally changes the way we interact faced with others. Okay. Next exercise, same thing again. I encourage you guys to put down what you're doing if you are able to, and focus on this. This is similar to the other one, but a little bit of a different focus, which is more on just you and who you are, as opposed to just get into that. Okay, so find your way again to an upright and a dignified posture. So again, relaxed, but alert. And close your eyes, or just lower them into a soft gaze. Place your feet on the ground and relax your arms at your sides. You can put your hands in your lap. Draw your shoulder blades subtly towards each other and allow your chin to be slightly upright, parallel with the floor. Lift the top of your head towards the sky. Soften your belly and your jaw. And notice right now what it feels like to stop. Notice what it feels like right now to be sitting in this purposeful posture, in this moment, in this space. And now take a moment to welcome yourself to your practice. Acknowledge your willingness to be here for yourself in this way. Notice that you are breathing. There's no need to change or manipulate your breath in any way. Just allow it to be as it is right here, right now. Simply allow your breath to be and follow it in, follow it out. Notice where you feel the sensations of your breath. Maybe you're aware of the air moving in, out of your nostrils and your upper lip. You might be sensing the gentle expanding, contracting of your chest and your ribs. Maybe you feel your abdomen rising and sinking. Allow your attention to rest on these sensations of your breath as it flows in and as it flows out of your body. So as you're sitting right here with your attention on your breath, you may again notice thoughts going through your mind. There's no need to block these thoughts out. Rather, just see if it's possible maybe to allow these thoughts to pass through your mind one by one. Let go of any need to label your thoughts, these thoughts, as either positive or negative, as good or bad. Just find a neutral way to be with your thoughts. See if it's possible to be aware of these thoughts without grasping or clinging to anyone. You also don't need to reject them or deny them. Shift your attention to any feelings that might be present in this moment. Just continue breathing in, breathing out. Acknowledge any feeling just as it is. Sometimes we have feelings about our feelings. We might feel that one feeling is okay, or another one is acceptable, or another one is not, or that our feelings are shameful. All feelings are acceptable. Now, bring your awareness to your sensations within your body. Feel any warmth, any coolness, tingling, tightness, pulsation, relaxation, hunger, fullness. Notice what's happening with your body in this moment. Do it with patience. Do it with kindness. Explore the sensations, both strong and subtle, with curiosity. And as you breathe in and as you breathe out, notice if your posture has shifted. Make any adjustments if you'd like. Just allow yourself to tune into your body just as it is. To center your attention on only your breath. And as we end this practice, allow yourself to go through 3 more full cycles of breathing, please. Just be as present as possible for each one. Okay. How was that for you guys? Good. Good feedback. Good feedback. Okay, Victor, you say you were in cloud 9. That's fantastic. I'm losing some of the messages. Yeah, best feeling ever. Lovely, relaxing. Yeah, you do get disturbed, Alan. That does happen, but you can bring yourself back. And again, it's important to remember that, again, these practices are available to you. They're there at any point. You can see as well, I'm sure, as we go through it. This is why I like doing the practical explorations of mindfulness. You can see how helpful they are in dealing with stress and dealing with difficult feelings and dealing with difficult thoughts as well. So the focus on this one was about being as we are, letting go of the judgment, letting go of this push and pull we have with our thoughts and our feelings, just being generally. Okay, yeah, just through. Mind was wandering. That's very normal, and a big part of meditation generally is not judging yourself for a wandering mind, but allowing yourself to recognize that is normal. These things take a bit of practice. Just directly gently bringing your attention back without judgment when it goes. Most people's attention will probably disappear once every few seconds. It's very normal. Okay, good. Yeah, complete oneness to limits. Great. Fantastic. Okay, good. So, though that's our second exercise, we have one more we'll get to in just a moment. Lena, I'm glad you didn't fall asleep. That's one of the dangers. That's why normally you sit up in kind of assertive posture where you can allow yourself to feel relaxed, but not actually sleep, because as soon as you sleep, or you get the benefits of sleep, but you lose the benefits of the mindfulness exercise, of course. Okay, fantastic. Let's move on. So the how is in some ways the easy part, because you can, again, there's a lot of good apps, a lot of good YouTube channels. There's a lot of face-to-face groups as well that would practice mindfulness. It is a type of meditation. It's different from meditation is the kind of the broad category. Mindfulness is a specific type of meditation. It's about directing your attention, so you can find it in different places. But essentially, it's just about learning how to pause, and you do that by doing it. You don't do it by reading about it. You do it by doing it. That's why we're doing it in this webinar right now. Learning how to just pause and stop running autopilot. Curiosity, I think, is a really interesting way of thinking about it. I really like the word curiosity. It's something really active about it. There's something fascinating about the idea of being curious. If we're curious, we're engaged and we're stimulated, and we really want to know. We're excited about this whatever it is that's unknown. And that's the practice of mindfulness, being curious and engaged and excited and really kind of intensely focusing on what it means to be us in that moment and what it means to feel a certain way, but to do it without judgment. Again, that's the key. And that takes practice as well, because we're so good at having this judgmental layer over our thoughts. As that last, as it came up in the last exercise, sometimes we have feelings about feelings, we have thoughts about thoughts. We call this metacognition, thoughts about our thoughts. And often those thoughts are layering on this So I'm grieving. I've been grieving for the last 6 months. It's really hard. It's really difficult to be in a grieving state. I'm trying to get on with my life, because 6 months later, I'm meant to be okay. But at the same time, I'm feeling really difficult feelings. I'm finding it hard to perform and function, check in my life, my relationships, and everything's feeling quite dysfunctional. But then I'm judging myself on top of that. Well, it's been 6 months. I should be fine. Why am I so weak? Other people seem to be coping. You can see there how that judgment is just adding to the initial discomfort and pain that's there already, and is really, not only is it counterproductive, it's just unnecessary. And acceptance is the same. But just saying, this is what it is, this is who I am, this is how I am. And acceptance, we don't have to accept what we can control. Accepting is what we can't control. So these thoughts and feelings are going to come. Life is going to do things that are outside of our control. Finding acceptance that's important. Doesn't mean we can give up control over our lives, our choices, and take ownership. We can do all of those with acceptance for our thoughts and feelings. Okay, good. I see there's a few questions coming through. I'm going to come back to those. There's a question about self-doubt, a question about Morgani about shutting off thinking. I'm going to return to those in Q&A. So yeah, I have seen it. Okay. And then nature is a very good way of connecting as well. As came up in the first exercise, our body is a really good way of finding some type of anchoring in the present, because as much as our thoughts are all over the place and our feelings are connected to the past and future, our bodies are anchored in the now. And in many ways, nature is like that as well. So we are beings that have evolved growing up in these natural environments, right? We often find this disconnect now in our urban modern lifestyle. There's some needs that we are not meeting then if we are not spending enough time in nature. There's something it depends. People need this to different degrees, but ultimately, to some extent, most people need some time just being able to connect with the broader natural environment, and that's about reinforcing the sense of being involved in something that's bigger than just ourselves. That's one way of speaking to the loneliness, the disconnection we often feel. Just to feel that we are connected, we are part of something bigger than ourselves, even if not in a religious way in any sense, but just feeling like we're part of the broader ecosystem, as opposed to completely removed. That's a very important way of connecting, being able to be present, being able to be mindful. Also, again, speaking to these feelings of loneliness we can often experience. Okay, so this is the last mindfulness exercise now. This one's a little bit on a slightly higher level. This shows you what you can do with mindfulness with regard to our feelings, how to use it in a kind of practical way in that respect. So I'm going to take you through this, slightly longer than the others, not much longer. And then we'll have some time just for some engagement Q&A comments if you guys feel at that point. So this is one that deals with difficult feelings. So as you'll see as I go through it, you don't have to choose the most difficult situation in your life. And if this is quite new to you, and maybe you have strong feelings about a certain thing that you don't necessarily want to get into right now, that's not only fine, it's completely encouraged. So choose something for this that causes you to have some feelings, but perhaps isn't the most intense issue right now in your life, just as you're practicing this. And if anything comes up that you feel would be helpful to speak about, again, email me in counseling@Regent. You're welcome to set up a one-on-one session at any point. And if you feel that you'd rather sit this one out, if you're feeling maybe you're having a day that you don't really want to be dealing with too many feelings, even if they're not particularly intense ones, that's also absolutely fine. But as I hope you will see, the point of this is not just to stir up emotions, but rather just to find some tools for dealing with them, and hopefully to find some increased resolution in that respect. Okay, so let's get into it. So as we begin, once again, just notice the support that you're receiving from whatever it is that you are sitting on, or maybe if you're lying down. Pay special attention to these sensations of support. And if you're sitting, notice again how your feet are making contact with the floor. Notice how you're being supported by your chair or your cushion. Notice how your arms and your hands are resting. If you're lying down, notice how you are being supported by the floor or the bed, how your upper body, your arms, your legs, your feet are making contact, whether you're sitting or whether you're lying down. Allow your weight to sink down through these points of contact, and wherever possible, let any tension drain down to support and beyond. As you're sitting or lying here, let any thoughts or images go. Just feel that you're being supported by what's beneath you. When you're ready, notice your breath. Whether you're feeling it most vividly in your abdomen or your chest or your nostrils, actually feeling the breath moving. Notice how your whole body expands a little on the in-breath and relaxes a little on the out-breath. Just let your breath be your breath. Know that you're breathing just fine. And you can even think about observing your breath like you watch waves at the seashore. Watch them go out, come back in, flow back out. And again, smoothing the sand as they come in and out. You wouldn't demand that they go faster or that they go slower, that they're bigger or that they're smaller. You would just be at peace watching them and seeing them. And in the same way, you can allow the breath to just be as is. Let your breath just breathe itself. In a moment, we are going to turn our attention towards something that is troubling you. Something that's not quite the way you want it to be. So until you've had experience with this process, best to choose something that's not huge, something that has enough charge that you have a definite reaction to it, but it might not be the biggest thing in your life. It could be a physical condition, a health problem, a relationship issue, misunderstanding, or a setback. It could just be something like an inconsiderate neighbor or co-worker, something you don't like about yourself. Take your time, and there's no wrong choice here. Whatever you choose is going to be just right. Let yourself get a sense of what you could choose to work on, and just pick one of these things. It doesn't have to be the biggest. Once you've found the situation, this issue, see if you can identify the feeling about this situation. Is it anger, fear, sadness, impatience, confusion? What would you call it? And if, for example, it was anger, rather than saying, I am angry, or I am frustrated, or I am sad about something, see how it feels to say, I'm noticing something in me that is this way, that is angry or afraid or sad. I'm noticing something in me that has this feeling. Just see how it feels to label it that way. This gives the feeling more room to move, and you won't identify with it as much. You're just aware that you have those feelings right now. And as you say this, something in me is annoyed, or angry, or confused, or mad, or sad, whichever best describes this feeling. See if you can notice where there might be a physical reaction to this. It could be a tightening in your shoulders or your chest, maybe a tightness or queasiness in your stomach, pressure, tension of some sort, achiness, constriction, tension in your throat, heat in your face, tightness in your jaw. Just see where it affects you physically, where you can notice it. If you don't find a specific place, that's fine. It might just be a general sense of unease you feel all over. Maybe tensing or readiness of your arms as if you're going to protect yourself or someone else. Maybe it's your legs as if you're getting ready to run. And if you can, just allow what you're noticing to just be there. Simply acknowledge it. Let your awareness rest there gently, allowing it to be just the way it is, without demanding that it be different. With difficult emotions or sensations, you normally want to move away from them. So you want to push them away. This is what we normally try to do. So without trying to soften them directly, see maybe if you can soften your reactions. You may not like what you're feeling, but it's possible to accept that this is what you're feeling right now. See if you can give yourself permission to actually feel this, allowing it to be there with kindness and gentleness, recognizing that accepting something is present doesn't necessarily mean that you like it. This is called softening and allowing. You can soften your reaction to the feeling that you're having and allow that reaction to be there. And just allow the feeling to be there. If it's possible for you, see if you can maybe soften your reaction to the difficulty, to this situation, with gentle breaths. See if you can be with it the same way you'd be with a child or a pet who you love and who's in distress. If that were the case, you would probably do this with tenderness, with gentleness. You wouldn't demand that your loved one respond differently than the way that they are. And if you like, you might even place your hand where in your body you're physically feeling the difficulty the most. Maybe it's on your heart, your abdomen. Meet this experience of kindness. Recognize that this would be difficult or painful or challenging for anybody. Hold it and yourself gently and with kindness. Take your time with this, don't rush. As you do this, you might feel sensations and feelings coming and going, and noticing, if you pay close attention, it might be movement. There might be change from moment to moment. Maybe it's a tightening or a loosening. You might notice heat, waves of energy, images or impressions might emerge. Through all of this, see if you can bring a sense of kindness, curiosity, compassion to your exploration. Spending enough time here to make contact with what you're noticing and feeling, but not so much that you become overwhelmed. If you become overwhelmed, you can just return to your breathing. Find the physical support, feel grounded, the floor, the chair, the cushions. Now, without trying to push this difficult issue away, take a moment now. See if you can find somewhere in your life where things are generally okay. Maybe they're even good. Something or someone that you are really grateful for. Could have to do with a loved one, favorite pets, good friend, maybe an achievement in the past or the present you're proud of, a hobby or sport that gives you pleasure and satisfaction. It might just be as simple as recalling a smile or a kind word someone had you recently or in the past. There might be several things or people you're grateful for that come to mind. Just let them flow into your awareness. Feel that sense of gratitude and warmth. Notice how it affects your body. Imagine this in its wholeness. If what comes to mind is physical and involves movement, even if it's something that doesn't seem like it involves a lot of movement, like writing or drawing, imagine how it feels to move in this way, your arm, legs, torso, even the touch, the pen or brush, or whatever it is you're coming in. If it has to do with the special feeling you have in the situation or these particular people in your life who you're grateful for, let yourself feel that. Notice where in your body you feel the most vividly, and maybe feel the warmth of your heart, safe, secure feeling in your belly, softness around your face or your eyes, the aliveness of the limbs as you move through space. Let yourself spend some time here. Now, when you're ready, see if you can come back to what you're grateful for. Whilst you're thinking of that, see if you can check in with what's been troubling you and how it feels to you right now. Just do this gently, just check in. Like you're opening the door to a room you were just in, or just kind of looking down the passage. Revisit this difficult situation or issue or condition. And as you do it, what do you notice? How is it the same or different than before? See if you can do this gently. Allow the feelings or sensations to be the way that they are without needing them to change. And if they do change, just pay attention to them on their own. When you're ready, go back again to the pleasant feeling or the things or people that you're grateful for and hang out there for a while. Notice what it's like to be paying attention to this again, to what's working, to what feels good, to what you're grateful for, how it feels in your body right now. In a way, the parts of your life that are working well, the parts that you're grateful for, can be seen as gently holding things in the areas that are difficult or challenging. Now, the last part of this is broadening awareness. So it's like panning out with a wide lens, including both the difficulty and what you're grateful for. So wide that there's enough space and room for both of them. Not pushing anything away, to push away the difficult or cling to the pleasant. Let's shift to an even wider, more inclusive perspective that includes both the pleasant and the unpleasant. Include your entire body and all of its inputs. And then when you're ready, move wider still, including your awareness the room or area that you're or lying in. You might notice as you widen this awareness, this sense of space, freedom, and capacity for change. And if it's not too much of a stretch, see if you can expand your awareness to include the building that you're in or the natural setting you're in. And go even wider then to your neighborhood. Zoom out even further to your town or your city, or even further to the region of your country. The difficulty you began with may not have itself changed, it's still there, but now it's part of something much bigger. And as your awareness expands even further to include the entire world, if possible for you, recognize that at this very moment, there are others who are experiencing the same kind of pain or discomfort as you. And in this way, you're not alone. Out of the many millions, billions of people included, it's certainly true that some of them are experiencing the same sort of pain or difficulty that you are, right? Same sort of intensity. Pains, fears, worries, they're not yours alone to feel, but they're in fact shared by others. There are others feeling the very same thing at literally the same time as you. And if it seems possible to do this, you might see, if you can imagine your awareness expanding even further. You can see the Earth from space, perhaps, the way an astronaut would. A beautiful blue-white sphere against a velvety black backdrop. No visible borders, seamless, whole, alive, so precious. You can stay here for a while if you like, and you can see the Earth as this beautiful glowing jewel suspended in space. And when you're ready, let your awareness gradually return to your part of the world, to you, your body, how you are right now. How does it feel? And sense how it is to be in your body right now, coming back to just you. But keeping your awareness still wide enough to hold both the difficulties and the pleasures of your body and your life. And finally, see if you can bring gentleness and kindness to whatever you're feeling right now. Hold yourself with compassion, hold yourself with understanding. And spend the next few unguided moments resting deep in the body, in your breath, allowing any discomfort or unease to be soothed by the rhythm of your breath. Again and again. Okay, that gives us 5 minutes, guys. And the return to the real world. How did you find it? How are you all doing? And any questions? Okay, good. And Nati feeling relaxed. Naledi feeling at peace. That's great. Madeline Mogani also doing pretty good. I'm glad to hear that. Anyone find that hard? Okay. Yeah, it can be hard. Can be hard. Takes practice, and the point is, if you are going to difficult feelings, of course, that by definition is challenging. But the point of this is to, I mean, it's not you have to be right. It's not to overthink whilst you're doing it. The point of it is to be able to encompass the different aspects of our humanity and our experience, not get too caught up in our suffering, and not get too caught up in judgment for ourselves, but being able to just feel what we deserve to feel and feel what's normal to feel, have the tools for being able to regulate that part of ourselves. Good. So yeah, judging by the comments, it seems like that was more helpful. Okay, and yeah, zooming out, Mishka, you're right. That does bring humbling. It gives you perspective. Okay, so in the Q&A, there were 1 or 2 questions. How can one overcome self-doubt? Well, that's a big question and a good question, but a little bit beyond the scope of this specific workshop. But I can just say very briefly on it, so much of our self-doubt is it's a product of the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. Stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, we often learn early on in our lives. We learn we are small, or we learn that we are inferior, capable, and so often we're not really those things, but we continue to believe that we are. So awareness is one thing, self-compassion is being able to be mindful towards those parts of ourselves that have self-doubt, not judge ourselves for being self-doubtful, but just understanding it, acknowledging it, and observing those parts of ourselves, but also being able to choose different ways of feeling about ourselves that are probably more aligned to reality, which is we are part of this common humanity. So yeah, there's a lot that I can say about that, but there's something there. Self-doubt is not something that you're going to overcome just by hearing some guidance in the webinar. It's probably something you're going to have to really work with and engage with. Those are some of the building blocks there. Bogani, how do we learn to shut off thinking about what stresses us? So the point of this, I hope you guys are seeing, is not necessarily about shutting off, but rather just about observing the things that cause us stress and not getting swept along with them. And then we'll learn that these thoughts often come and go. And we can also task our brain to think about other things, to kind of focus our attention on other aspects of our experience. And finding, again, perspective for the things that stress us. So yes, this thing is really stressing me, but it's not necessarily as big as I once thought it was. Why will be okay while I can deal with it. Just going through, seeing if there are any more questions. Good, thank you for your comments, guys. Okay, how does one ground oneself from anxiety and anxiety attacks? So pain is a common symptom of stress and anxiety. You always want to get it checked out first. You want to make sure there's no medical cause for it, but it's very normal to experience pains in your body, especially your shoulders, your head, your chest, if you are feeling anxious, and a panic attack can often feel like it is a heart attack. That's why they're so scary. So that's very normal. Grounding is you asked the question in a good way. I don't know your name. It's just anonymous attendee, so I'm speaking very generally to you, but that you've asked it in a good way, and often it is about grounding through these types of mindful exercises. Sometimes in the grounding exercise, use our senses. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can feel, or that is touch, smell, so on and so forth. Just a way of grounding you, again, taking about a little bit of, but often a lot going in that's causing anxiety. So it's always best, speaking to a professional about that and getting some help. And sometimes medication can be helpful as well. Okay, good. Well, thank you, guys. I think we are good there. I think I've got to the questions. Thank you for your comments. It was really good to do this with you, and I'm glad so many of you were able to join and really get involved with these sessions as well. So thank you so much, everybody. We will see you next time, March, 2 weeks time, and we are talking anger management. So let's pick it up again. Then have a good rest of your week, everybody.